I want to start with a number, not a motivational number, not an aspirational number, a real number that I watched play out deal after deal across 30 years, and that I could no longer accept as the natural order of things. Franchisors, the companies that sell franchises, are regularly sold to private equity at 15, 20, sometimes even 25 times EBITDA. 25 years worth of profit to walk away. Franchisees, the operators who built the unit level businesses that made those franchisors valuable in the first place, they exited 3 to 6 times. Same industry, same transaction category, a fraction of the value. That number is the reason Orca exists in franchising today. And today I want to tell you the full story. In May of 2025, I stood on the stage at the inaugural International Franchise Association World Franchise Show in Miami. This was the IFA's first standalone World Franchise Show event. Franchisor executives, private equity investors, global franchise leaders, industry analysts, the room was packed. And only one franchise consultant stood on that stage to give a keynote, and that was me. I was the only one in history, actually, of the IFA invited to give a keynote at a major public event. Standing on that stage, I made an argument I'd been building towards for 30 years. That gap, franchisees at 3 to 6 times, franchisors at 15 to 20 times, is not because franchisees build inferior businesses. And it's not because the market undervalues operators. It's because franchisees have never been given the playbook that franchisors have always had access to. The strategic infrastructure, the portfolio architecture, the operational transformation, and the exit engineering. Nobody built that playbook for franchisees. The industry is very good at teaching people how to run 1, 2, or 3 units. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Before I tell you what Orca is, I want to tell you precisely why the gap exists. Because understanding the mechanism is what makes the solution clear. Private equity firms don't buy businesses. They buy investment thesis. They buy predictable, documented, transferable value. Portfolios that can survive and grow under new ownership. Businesses where the value lives in the system, not in the founder. Most franchise portfolios, even excellent ones, fail that test. Not because they're poorly run, but because they were built for daily operation, not for institutional acquisition. The owner is still the center of gravity. The financials tell a story only when they can translate it. The relationships live in their phone, not a CRM. The processes exist in their head, not a manual. A private equity buyer asks 3 questions. Can this run without you? Can we understand it without your explanation? And can we scale it without your relationships? If any of those 3 answers is no, the multiple drops. Not because the business is bad, but because it's not yet a portfolio enterprise in the franchise industry. That's the gap. Not operational, not architecture. The Orca program was built to close that gap, to give franchise portfolio owners, the serious builders at levels 4 and 5 of Knauf's hierarchy, the same strategic infrastructure that franchisors have always had access to and franchisees have never been offered. It works in 3 dimensions. The portfolio architecture. Which brands to select and in what sequence. Which combinations create genuine private equity attractive diversification versus operational complexity that looks like scale but functions like chaos. How to build the brand portfolio that tells a coherent institutional story, a franchise portfolio enterprise with a thesis, not just an accumulation of locations. Not every brand combination is a portfolio. Some combinations create diversification, others just create confusion. The difference from an institutional buyer's perspective is whether your brand mix tells a story they can underwrite. Operational transformation. The specific systems, management, and financial reporting architectures that convert an owner-dependent operation into an institution-ready enterprise. The GM structure that removes the founder from daily decisions, the dashboard that gives a buyer visibility without requiring the seller's presence, the standard operating procedures that transfer knowledge from one person's head to a document that survives their departure. This is the work that most franchise portfolio owners never do. Not because they don't want to, but because no one has ever shown them what an institution-ready operation actually looks like from the buyer's perspective. Exit engineering. How to prepare for and execute a PE exit that commands a premium multiple. How to construct the narrative that institutional buyers need to hear. How to time the market, identify the right buyer profile, and structure a transaction that reflects the actual value of what's been built. Not the default multiple that unprepared sellers accept. The biggest fortunes in franchising are not made in royalties. They're made in exits. And the exits are engineered, not discovered. Here's the thing that I want you to understand about the ownership gap. It isn't permanent. It's not structural in the way that most people assume. It's a knowledge gap. And knowledge gaps close when someone builds the infrastructure to close them. The franchisees who exit at 6, 8, 10, 12 times EBITDA instead of 3 or 4 are not necessarily exceptional operators. They're not luckier. They did not choose better brands or better markets. They built differently, with institutional buyers in mind from the beginning, with management infrastructure that made the business independent of their daily presence, with unit economics consistent enough across locations to support an institutional valuation, with a brand mix and category narrative that told a scalable story. None of that happens by accident, and none of it happens without the right playbook. Orca is that playbook. The last employee, the rise of ownership, lays the foundation. The hierarchy, the ownership gap, the empire mindset, the path from level 1 to level 4. That book launches on May 1st, 5 days from the day I'm recording this, as an ebook on Amazon. The complete Orca playbook, the portfolio architecture, the operational transformation framework, the exit engineering process, is the subject of the next book. But the field manual, the workbook, is being written right now. And it's being written specifically for franchise owners who have absorbed this first book, understand the foundation, and arrived at the threshold of the franchise portfolio enterprise. Those books are coming. Join the Orca community. Visit us at orcaz.com to be among the first. The ownership gap is real. It has cost franchise owners what they earned for 30 years. That ends here. The Last Employee, The Rise of Ownership, is available for pre-order on Amazon today. 5 days to go. I'm George Knauf, franchise investment strategist, creator of Knauf's Hierarchy of Franchising, and founder of Orca Franchising, the franchise portfolio enterprise. Author of The Last Employee. This is Franchise Snack, Season 2, Episode 11. This can be our victory lap. Let's go.